Welcome to the VMware on AWS Update Show, the August 2023 edition. On the Update Show, we bring you up to speed with new releases and features on everything VMware and AWS related. We'll cover jointly engineered services such as VMware Cloud on AWS, which is the fastest and lowest risk path to get your VMware workloads into the AWS cloud. And we'll be covering additional AWS and VMware services which enhance the VMware Cloud experience, such as VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery, VMware HCX, AWS Backup, and Amazon FSx. Plus, we'll let you know about any recently released blog articles, reference architectures, and customer case studies. Each show, we select one or two items from the list of updates, and with our guests, we dive into them a little deeper. I'm Chris Porter, and I'm joined by my co-host, Natasha Marinakis. Natasha, do you want to tell us what we have coming up this month?
On the agenda for today's show, we have our regular round of updates from the world of VMware and AWS. This month, we'll dive deep into VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery and new region launches.
Excellent. Let's get started. For this month, we have updates covering a number of different services, and we'll start with VMware Cloud on AWS. This month for VMware Cloud on AWS, we see it becoming available in two new regions, Zurich and Melbourne, and we'll be talking about those new region launches with our guest Tamara later on. For other VMware services, with VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery, we've seen a significant new release this month, and we'll be talking to Jatin about this in more detail later, but in summary, here are some of the highlights. With this release, you can now run recovered VMs directly on the cloud file system. There is preview support for VMware Cloud on AWS Outpost source protection. You can now perform ransomware recovery on multiple VMs at the same time, as well as selecting the country for processing ransomware recovery data. VCDR has been added to the AWS Middle East Bahrain region. Attaching PCI hardened SDCs at the protected site is now supported, and you can now scale down a 3-host recovery SDC to 2 hosts. For HCX, version 4.7 has recently been released. This new release adds a number of interoperability enhancements, such as support for vSAN 8 Express Storage Architecture, VMware vSphere 8 Update 1, and NSX 4.1.1. There's also been a significant scale enhancement for bulk and replication-assisted vMotion migrations, which now support up to 600 concurrent migrations, doubling the previous limit of 300. For Cloud Flex Storage, security has been enhanced by replacing API tokens with OAuth app authentication, health reporting and status updates have been added to the UI, and support for Cloud Flex Storage has been expanded to the AWS regions Seoul, Hong Kong, Bahrain, and Osaka. Finally, Cloud Director Service has added a tool for troubleshooting the VMware Cloud Director Service proxy client appliance and added support for the latest VMware Cloud Director release, version 10.4.2.1. Moving on to blogs, videos, and customer case studies. In the past month, we've seen 3 new blog posts released. In the first post, AWS specialist Toyoda-san and Yoshida-san discuss strategies for successful Oracle database migrations with VMware Cloud on AWS. In the second post, a group of specialists from across AWS discuss how to use AWS Systems Manager for VMware Cloud on AWS Operations Management. And in the last post this month, Harsha and Karthik from our partner and EC2 teams walk you through getting started with AWS backups for VMware Cloud on AWS. All are well worth checking out. And for videos this month, we saw the release of a customer case study video with Autoglass covering their use of VMware Cloud on AWS and VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery. All of those items you can find more details on in the description below the video. One service we've seen some significant updates this month is VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery, also known as VCDR. Joining us today to talk more about the service and those recent updates is Jatin Jindal from VMware. Jatin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chris and Natasha. I'm looking forward to talking all things VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery.
Let's start with a quick history lesson. VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery is a relatively new service, but its underlying technology has a strong pedigree. Can you give us an overview of the service and its history?
Yes, of course. Actually, it's going to be 3 years since we launched VMware Cloud DR. Time flies. This service was launched based on the technology we acquired from Datrium in 2020. The main use case that this service addresses is protecting vSphere workloads, either running on-premises or on cloud against disasters. Lately, we have seen a surge in demand of our service due to increasing prevalence of ransomware attacks. Last year, we introduced a number of capabilities to support this use case, and I'm very excited to talk more about the capabilities that we have added this year.
It's really exciting to follow the evolution of the service since those early days. In the latest release, we've seen quite a few new features added. One of those features I'm particularly excited about is the ability for recovered VMs to run directly from the VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery file system. Can you tell us a little bit more about that new feature and how it improves the service for our customers?
Absolutely. Ability to run VMs directly on VCDR file system is a game-changing capability that allows for faster failover and better post-recovery performance. Earlier, when customers would fail over the VMs, they would need to storage vMotion their workloads to recovery SDDC. Storage vMotion can take as much time as needed, and performance of the recovered VMs took a hit as bandwidth is shared between performance and storage vMotion. Now, customers don't need to do storage vMotion at all. So complete bandwidth is available for recovered VMs performance. Also, do note that this capability was available in preview earlier, but now is generally available. This has been made possible because recovered VMs running on file system is now supporting HA, highly available.
The recent release has added new features such as multi-VM selection for ransomware recovery and a preview of VMware Cloud on AWS Outpost source protection. Can you tell us a little more about these features and anything else our viewers should be looking out for in particular?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, ransomware recovery is top of mind for our customers, and we are continuously adding features that makes it easier for customers to recover from ransomware attack. This particular feature, which allows multi-VM selection, customers can now process up to 50 VMs concurrently, all embedded into a single workflow. This makes it very efficient, especially for customers who want to run recovery at scale. Also, let me touch on Outposts. With VCDR, we already support protection of workloads on premises and VMware Cloud on AWS across 21 AWS regions. We have extended that to support protection to cloud for workloads that are running on Outposts. This is a preview functionality, but in terms of features, you do get access to all the capabilities that VCDR has to offer.
Thanks for that, Jatin. I think VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery, I know the customers I work with really enjoy the service and capability, and it's a great complement to the VMware Cloud on AWS service as well. And these new capabilities continue to enhance this and answer customers' feature requests and their needs and help them in their kind of darkest hour with ransomware recovery. So it's a brilliant service to talk more about and see enhanced. If our viewers want to find out more about the service, where should they go?
So to find out more about VMware Cloud DR, head to VMware Cloud DR page on VMware Services website. You will find frequently asked questions, pricing, and access to hands-on lab where you can actually play around with the simulated environment for VMware Cloud DR. Alternatively, go to vmc.vmware.com and navigate to disaster recovery or ransomware recovery swim lane, where you can find a ton of resources to learn about VCDR, including technical resources linked to documentation, as well as data sheets.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Jatin. Loads of resources for our viewers to dive into. Thanks for your time, and we'll look forward to talking again in the future for new updates as well.
Thank you so much.
This month sees not one, but two new region launches for VMware Cloud on AWS. Joining us to talk about these region launches is Tamara Grigg from AWS. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Natasha. It's wonderful to be here.
So Tamara, with the new regions that have been added this month, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but what's the total number of regions where VMware Cloud on AWS is available?
With the new launches, we're up to 25 regions globally. We started with just one region back in 2017 and have been expanding ever since across the globe. With many of the recent AWS region launches, we're seeing VMware Cloud on AWS being made available in less than 12 months after the initial region launch.
It's always exciting to see a new region launch, and this month we've had 2. Can you tell us a little more about the new region launches?
Sure. This month, we've had simultaneous launch of VMware Cloud on AWS in Zurich, in Switzerland, and in Melbourne, Australia. For Switzerland, this is their first VMware Cloud on AWS region, allowing customers to transform their VMware environments in the same way that they have in our other regions across the globe. The launch of the region helps public sector organisations and those in highly regulated industries such as financial services and healthcare better meet data residency requirements. For Melbourne, this is the second VMware Cloud on AWS region in Australia, following the launch of VMware Cloud on AWS in Sydney 5 years ago. With 2 regions in Australia, organisations are now supported with the option to deploy SDDCs hundreds of kilometres apart to support their business continuity goals in country.
And so we're now up to 25 regions across the globe, and that's, I think, 4 regions in the US and Canada. We have a region in Africa now in Cape Town. Many regions across EMEA joined by Switzerland. We have regions in India, Japan, the Middle East, Asia, and Australia. We've launched 3 new regions in total this year, those 2 this month, and earlier this year as well, we had the Bahrain region launch. Can we expect any more to be launched in 2023?
Yep. We're aiming for the launch of Hyderabad, a second region in India later this year, which will follow on from VMware Cloud on AWS launch in Mumbai.
Thanks, Tamara, for joining us and bringing us up to speed with all the latest region launches.
Thanks for inviting me to join you both today. It's been a pleasure being here.
And that wraps up another episode of the Update Show. It's been super fun to talk about all the latest and greatest events from the last month related to VMware and AWS. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Tune in next month when we'll have a special show talking about everything exciting that's come out of VMware Explore US. For our viewers to get more information on anything we've discussed today or VMware Cloud on AWS in general, Natasha, where should our viewers go?
Our viewers can find more information on the AWS website. Just search for VMware, and we'll have information on all the updates covered in this month's show in the description below.
There will also be a link in the description that will allow you to get in contact with a representative from AWS.
Thank you to all our viewers for tuning in.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.